Welcome to the very first video in my new Getting Started series. Basically where we go over the beginning steps to get stuff set up, maybe programmed or even running to show you guys, how to get started. So basically, I've learned some stuff I want to share with you guys, and hopefully this will be a jumping off point to be able to show you guys how to get started. In today's video, we're going to do the Mirobot. You guys probably saw my unboxing video of this guy, but there's a lot more that I haven't shown you guys. So we're going to go over the driver and the software install. We'll go over the hooking up the robot. So I've already got it hooked up right now, but we'll go over the individual cables, how to get it set up, have it connected to the software, what to do in the software, so different programming types or languages that you can use. And then we'll go through some examples of stuff that I've done, or even using the pendant and some other accessories that came with it to show you guys how much fun you could have. So with that, let's get started. The very first thing you need to do to get started is that we need to go to the Mirobot website, which if you type in wlkata.com, you come to this website, and if you want the English version, you go over here to the right and you click English. Then you go down to support, downloads, and then on this page you can see the different stuff you can download. So the very first thing is the studio software for actually programming it on a Windows machine. Right below that you got the Mac version. You have the driver, you need to download that. And then if you have an Android phone that you want to play with, you can download this app. I don't have an Android phone, but you could obviously download this to play with it. And then below those you have the actual documentation as far as the user manual, as well as the G-code instruction set manual. I personally like to print all this stuff out and have a hard copy of it, so you could also do that. I've done that. But I've also referenced the online version or the electronic version plenty of times. So with that, if you have a Windows machine, you want the Studio software and the CH340. Just go and click download. I've already done all this, but you basically will go through and download each of those items, unzip them, install them, and then to verify that it works, you can go and open up the software, the actual Mirobot Studio, and see if it opens up. So in my case, it does. And then if you want to check if your driver works, then all you gotta do is go to Device Manager on your machine and go down to Ports. And you can see here the USB serial CH340. You can see that it's in there. So we're all good. So now you got the software and the driver installed. Let's go over and hook everything up on the robot so we can get into the software and start driving stuff around. Okay, so the first things you want to do is you got your robot. You got no end effector on there. You don't have the grippers or suction or anything on there. That's probably the best way to start off. That way, in case when you do the homing program or a routine, that it doesn't hit anything in case you didn't have it on correctly. So basically you have the robot arm, you have the connectors in the back, so it should be the IDC cable connector, you got the USB, and then you got the actual power. Let me see if I can bring it closer to the camera. IDC, USB, power. So as you can see, I already have my box hooked up. This is the Bluetooth box. I've been playing around with this because I've been using the pendant to drive things around. But you can use the regular extender box, perfectly fine. Same thing, it's just this one has Bluetooth. So you hook this up. Then you want to take your USB cable, plug it into the back, take the other end, hook it into your computer, in my case, my laptop, And then finally, you want to take your power cord. It's part of, you got the brick and the other extension on there. Basically just plug it in. And if everything goes good, you push the power button. You'll hear it turn on. You'll see the lights blinking on the box. This may or may not go solid, I can't remember. But basically, there you go, you have it. If you push this homing button, and assuming you have the software installed, if you have it open right now, like I do, you can see that it's connected. And if you push and hold this red button that says homing, you'll see that it just goes and does its homing routine. And there you go, it's homed. So now you can take your gripper or anything else, and you got the cable, you got the gripper, you can go and put the gripper on there. If you give me a minute, I will go ahead and do that. You can see there's flats on there too. You of course want to set up your set screw to line right up with that flat. Make sure you don't try and move the axes or joints by hand. You don't want to break them because they've got gears inside of them, and you don't want to strip them or break things because it's a gear reduction. So with that, that's tightened up. I got the cable. What I've done is with this guy, I kind of wrap it kind of loosely up into here, into this loop. That way it helps not dangle it down where you might reach for stuff. And then just go back and plug it into the gripper connection. Now, one thing that they did note in the user manual, which I did do this because I was plugging this in and out to try out different stuff, is on the end of your connector, you got these two little nubbins on there. Basically, normally when you plug stuff like this in a small cable, you want to plug it in and you don't want it to come out. Well, there's two little notches on there, or protrusions, want to go in and connect into the other side of the connector and just stay stuck. And if you're pulling stuff in and out, well, that's going to be kind of tedious and kind of hard to pull out every time. So I did that, and that definitely helped with getting stuff connected and being able to take stuff out on and off. Oh, we want to make sure also the power is off before you plug this in. Plug it in. Turn your power back on. Of course, oh, I just turned the power off. I need to home the machine. So I'm going to go push my home button. And there we go. And there we go. We are all now set up with the robot, the gripper, everything's connected, and on the software side, I get a nice green check on the software. So with all that set up, let's go into software and we'll see what we can do. Alrighty guys, so here is the actual studio software that you download. So you can see up here, we got stuff down the side and we got stuff on the top and on the other side of this software package. Up at the top, this comes in on the command screen. So this is where you'll see the current commands going on, or I think you can even type down here and do one-line commands if you wanted to do that. You can see here we are connected with my Mirobot, and then here is just Mirobot. I think you might be able to select multiple ones if you had more than one, and then here's the comms, the comm port that's on. So moving on over, you have the different joint modes. I'll throw a picture up on the screen here for showing the different joint modes. This is the joint mode and then the coordinate mode, basically Cartesian or just in the joint modes, to where you can either move the joints by themselves or you can try and maintain a XYZ reference when you move around, which that all depends on how you program or if you have fixtures or just what your situation is on programming. And right next to that, you can see we got the homing button, which you can press and home the machine. And then you also have the e-stop. Below that, you got the 0 position. This basically goes to the home position that you have, or after it does the homing position, it goes back to this 0 point. This is basically go back to that point. That's where both points or both parts of the arm are vertical and horizontal. It's kind of like in that typical pose that you normally see a robot arm in, or at least in the pictures for the Mirobot. And then below that are the actual joints and the commands and the speeds and the steps, as well as the end effector on and off selection down here. And these will also change. You can see up here, we're in the robot joint mode. These are, how it's displayed in joint 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is also part of that diagram I'm showing you guys. As well as if you hit the coordinate mode, you'll see that everything switches over. Hold on, maybe I need to turn my robot on. There we go. Okay, so I need to actually have my robot on. And when you do that, you can see X, Y, Z, and then rotation about X, Y, and Z, as well as the speeds and the steps. You can see here it's actively checking the position. So this is the way you can go between the different joint or control modes. So that's all on the command screen. This stuff will also always be populated over here on the right hand side. If we go down to the teaching section, this is where you can actually do teaching of individual points. So you can say, right now, I'll just say add the point I'm at right now, which is the home position. So you can do that, and then you can just keep doing this for whatever number of, you can actually, say we'll move this, and then we can say add point. This actually, I didn't home the machine, so it's not going to actually move anything, but you can update things. You can go to each individual position and update the joints. It would be kind of nice though if you could update it per XYZ instead of the joints. That way, in case you needed to insert something and you wanted to change the X, Y, or Z position, you could just do that instead of having to figure out what the joint positions are. Over here on the trigger column, you can see that you can select none, the gripper, or the suction cup. And so if you select that, you go over to the value. This is basically 1 or 0, basically on or off. That's for the gripper as well as the suction cup. One thing I did notice on this is we're going to add some bogus points here. If I have the gripper on or off, here we'll do both. So we'll do 2 on, 2 off. And I just wanted to, this is just an example to show you just kind of the quirks of this software. So I have this point, and say I actually wanted this point up here in maybe like the second position. So down on the bottom left of this screen, you can see there's the move down and the move up and the delete. You can also see there's pauses in between you can put in there. But basically, if you have a row highlighted and then you want to move up or down, watch what the gripper value does. If I move it up, it automatically goes to on. So just be aware of that. If you're programming it and you have gripper on and off, or so the suction on and off, you might have to go back in and select this to be on or off. So this is the teaching mode. If we go down to the next tab, you got the Blockly screen. Now I've never personally used Blockly. This is a software or a kind of programming method that Google developers have made. I'll put a link down below of the videos and documentation that I found. Now that I have maybe a purpose to use it, I'm going to try it out. But basically, you can go in and it basically allows you to program by blocks, not just text. And so just to do a quick example, we'll just put these together, and you can see here's where you can move things together, and then you can run it. You can also save it, open stuff, but then it'll also show the Python code over here on the right hand side. But that's kind of neat to see. Okay, I know I want to do this. How does it actually program? How do I actually program it in, say, real life, or actually in Python? So you can learn, kind of like backwards teach yourself how to run Python or program in Python. So here's the Blockly section. If we go down to the drawing, which is the next tab, this is where you can put in different pictures, or you can even put in text. So we're going to say, hello world. So we can do that. Where'd it go? Is it up here? So you can just go down here and you can hit the add button. You can also change the font. But basically you can just put this in here. And then I'm sure you can scale it. Yeah, scale it. This guy's how you rotate. Yeah, you can rotate it. So that's kind of neat. You can do that stuff. And then we'll go over this later on how to actually, okay, you program something, and now how do you run it? Because with this guy, you go back to the command section, and basically with this drawing stuff, you would draw out whatever you want, then go back up to the command window, and then you bring your pen holder and the pen down to the paper or whatever you're trying to mark, and you say set pen height, and then you just go and run it. If you click on the settings or the help, this is basically what you get. You get the settings tab, basically, basic stuff. You get the calibration. This is we'll go over this maybe in a separate video, but this is also documented in the manual, the calibration procedure. And then the reset all settings. This might go back to the factory default sections. I can't remember if I read that or not, but settings, and then the help is basically like any other software package. Oh, the help, this is version number, whatever, and the logo, whatever. So that is the software in a nutshell. Let's go ahead and do a real life example, and maybe we could do some fun stuff. So let me get some cameras set up, and we will start doing some programming. In this first example, we've got the Mirobot on the table with the servo gripper attachment loaded on the end. And that, of course, is wired up and around back to the extender box. The IDC cable is plugged into the back, as well as the USB and the power cables are plugged in, and then they're wrapped around the workbench back to the power supply in my computer. We're going to use a simple block in this example to just show the teaching tab how to go about finding points. We're just going to go down, we're going to pick this up, we're going to bring it up and over and come back down, and then that'll be it. We'll see if it works. So if we jump over to the software, we are in the command tab, so let's go down to the teaching tab. Oh, and since my robot is not on yet, I can't do anything. So we're going to turn this on, and then we're also going to, I don't think this matters if you're in joint mode or coordinate mode, but we're going to be in coordinate mode for this example. But we're going to go back and we're going to hit the home button. So it should go back in home. Alright. So that's homed. And now you can see that, oh, it jumped back to joint mode. We're going to go in coordinate mode. We're going to add this as our very first point. That way, no matter what, we always go back to this home position or this position that we're going to call our clearance position. So we're going to do that. We're going to, for the sake of the camera, I'm going to rotate the arm. Let's go jump a higher step. That way you guys can see the actual alignment. All right, we're gonna actually add this as our first point. We're gonna delete this guy. This will be our initial go-to point. So now we're gonna go down, straight down in the Z. Well, actually, we're gonna also make sure that we have the gripper off. And here we're going to make sure the gripper is off as well. That way, in this clearance position, we always know if we start the program from this position, the gripper will be open, we'll be in a clearance position, and so if we go and move to go pick something up, we'll be free and we won't collide if, say, the gripper was closed. So with that, now let's jog down to the part. We're gonna come back on the Y, over in the Z. We're gonna step our steps down so we can get a better alignment. Let's even go down to 1. Go back on the Y a little bit. Come back down to the Z. We'll step the Z. Alright, so we're going to say that's our go-to position. We want the gripper to be on at this position, so we're going to turn it on. Now let's go straight up in the Z. Alright, we're going to say that's our point. Now let's move it over here. Let's come towards the camera. We'll move over in the X. And we'll say that's our next point. Now we're going to come back down to the table. Make sure you don't want to collide it with the table, so we're going to step down in the Z. Maybe a little bit more. We're going to add that as a point. We're going to say gripper off. We're going to do it there. And then now we're going to come back up in the Z. Oh, we're going super tiny steps. Go up in the Z. And then we'll add that as a point. And that should be a very basic initial program for us to run. So let's go ahead and set this guy back up. We're going to go and run this. Let's see if this works. I would normally go back to the 0 position, but let's see if my programming worked. So we're going to step through the program. A good procedure when programming any type of machine is to go step by step. That way, if you made a mistake, you can actually, we'll even do it without the block. That way there's no chance of it colliding. But we're going to go step by step to see if it goes through the motions to go up to the clearance position, down to pick up the block, back up, come over, come down, and drop off the block, and then go back up. So we're going to, I guess, more or less say where this is a dry run. So let's go ahead and do this. First step, we're going to click the step button again. We're going to go down. We're going to pick up the block. Then we go up. Then we go over. And then we go back down. Open it up. and then back up to his clearance position. So with that, let's try and run this. So I got this approximately lined up where it should be. Let's go ahead and run this. I just push the run button. We're going to see if it goes through the steps. And over. Back down. And there we go. We are all done. Awesome. So that was pretty neat. So with that, I hope you guys learned something. I tried to make this short and sweet and simple for you guys. For those that may not have any experience with robots or this kind of type of programming, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, really, you're just going between, points. You just got to make sure that you collect the points along the way. I have skipped points in the middle and had to be like, oh shoot, I got to go back to that position and find that in-between point. That way, there's points when I was first programming this, you'd go down and pick up the block, you come up, and you'd want to come over and come back down. Well, I forgot to get this point up here. So we just go pick up the block, come up, and then come sweep down here. And if you had a fixture in here or something else that was in the way and you really needed to come up and over, well, you would have crashed into that. So that's just something to be aware of. You just gotta make sure you get all your points. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys learned something. Hopefully, with me, we can learn through this and teach each other and do some fun stuff with Mirobot. In the next video coming up, we're going to go over and do the suction gripper. It's either suction gripper and use them blockly, or we might do the pen holder. I haven't decided which one we're going to do. But if you guys have any questions, have any comments, please leave them below in the comment section below. I'll try and put links to everything I used here. And again, if you guys enjoyed this video, please like it. If this video deserved it, please subscribe to the channel if you like this stuff and you want to see more. So with that, hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.